Welcome to Missing Chronicles, where we delve into the heartbreaking and enigmatic mysteries surrounding disappearances. Here, we will immerse ourselves in the world of unsolved cases, thrilling search efforts, and intricate journeys. The goal of this channel is to spread awareness, foster community connections, and provide support to the families and loved ones of the missing. Join me as we embark on a suspenseful journey, hoping to uncover the truth behind these missing chronicles. Help us sustain and grow Missing Chronicles by becoming a patron on Patreon. Your contribution ensures that we can continue our investigations, share compelling stories, and work towards a world where no one is forgotten. Join us in making a lasting impact today. Grand Teton National Park, unraveling the enigmatic tragedies and mysterious disappearances. Today, we bring to you some tragedies and disappearances surrounding Grand Teton National Park specifically, some of which happened so suddenly, perhaps the victim didn't even know what happened. At number 1, we have Atsushi Ono. Atsushi Ono was a 42-year-old Japanese national who had been working as an IT engineer in San Jose, California, when he decided to vacation in Jackson and visit Grand Teton National Park. Climbing rangers responded Saturday, September 4, 2021, after a separate climber ascending Teton reported finding a deceased man at the base of the Black Chimney. Ono was likely alone and planning to climb the east face based on a marked map found on him. A release said. The National Park Service is investigating the accident and has released little information about what happened aside from just a few details included in a Saturday evening news release. All the public was told, aside from his name and occupation, is that Ono was staying at an Airbnb in town. Park spokesman C.J. Adams told the Daily that the incident that led to the man's death likely occurred Friday, September 4, and rangers were notified around noon on Saturday. The park recovered his body with a helicopter. Teton Park representatives have not said what route Ono was climbing, though many climbers regard the general area where he was found as hard to navigate. The Japanese consulate has provided communication with Ono's family in Japan and next of kin notifications have been made. Grand Teton National Park employees extend their condolences to Ono's family and friends. Up next, we have Kian McLaughlin. Grand Teton National Park is 310,000 acres. It's nearly the size of Connecticut. Now, one mother visiting from Ireland is combing through it looking for her son. On June 8, 2021, Kian, who was 27 years old at the time of his disappearance, was last seen in the park going for a hike. Originally from Ireland, Kian McLaughlin was living in Jackson, Wyoming, working as a snowboard instructor and a bartender. He was hiking on the Lupin Meadows Trail the day he was last seen. A witness saw him around 3:45 in the afternoon. He was an experienced outdoorsman, but the conditions on the trails were particularly dangerous in early June. There was melting snow and ice. Kian's mother, Mrs. McLaughlin, stated, "We are really appealing to anybody who was in the park on June 8, 9th, or 10th to look back at their videos or photographs, and in the background, if you meet Kian, he has a very Irish accent." She also stated, "Back in June, we were told this was not a rescue anymore, that it was definitely a recovery, which is very hard to hear. But I just felt the need to come back here to the Grand Teton to connect with him and do the searching myself." She said that she knew her son was somewhere in the park and didn't want to give up until she brought him back home to Ireland with her one way or another. Mrs. McLaughlin admitted that nobody had any ideas as to what could have possibly happened to her son and that everyone was just trying to figure everything out. There are no definitive answers. A tip came in late June, however, which triggered new searches around Bradley and Taggart Lakes. A resident from Jackson who returned from an international trip came forward with the new information. Park officials said this in a news release. The reporting party described seeing Kian McLaughlin in the late afternoon or early evening on June 8, which was the last day he was seen, on the south side of the Bradley-Taggart moraine. The individual reported that Kian was heading south toward Taggart Lake and that he had a conversation with him where he described where he worked, that he's from Ireland, and currently living in Jackson. The park news release also reported. The reporting party continued hiking towards Bradley Lake and did not see McLaughlin again that evening. Based on that tip, the park initiated additional searches around Bradley and Taggart Lakes. This, however, was a false report. A 40-year-old model submitted this information, which cost over 500 hours of crucial search and rescuers' time. The model has since been fined for $17,600 and has now been banned from the park until 2026. Park staff also searched the Phelps Lake area, which Cian McLaughlin reportedly liked to visit. No evidence or clues of his whereabouts were identified, the release said. At its peak, the search for the Valley resident and Dublin native was massive. Up to 70 park staff each day and several dog teams searched the park's trails, canyons, and woods for 6 days straight since Cian was reported missing, which was 4 days after he was last seen. The park's investigation team spoke with more than 140 people with tips and information. More than 45 helicopter search missions were conducted, some using RECO rescue technology and thermal imaging cameras. No searchers were injured during the expansive operation, which involved navigating steep technical terrain, some of which required rope, ice axes, and crampons. Anyone with any information on the disappearance of Cian McLaughlin is asked to call or text a tip line at 888-653-0009. Next up is Robert Lowry. Robert "Bob" Lowry was a 42-year-old father of 2 from Texas who disappeared after he flew to Jackson Hole on August 19, 2021, and took a ride-sharing car service to Wilson, a town near multiple national forest trailheads. His sister, Lee, previously said that her brother took the trip after leaving his real estate job in Houston. His remains were found on September 28 in Bridger Teton National Forest, which is the same forest where authorities found Gabby Petito's body on September 19. Volunteer rescue teams with a dog found a set of remains in a black Nike duffel bag on a steep wooded slope. Authorities said that Gabby Petito's case, being covered as it was by so many national news outlets, helped greatly in highlighting many other missing persons cases throughout the nation, including Bob Lowry's. At least 2 people contacted the police with new information about the last place he was possibly seen the weekend before his body was found. His remains were properly identified, and the coroner reported that Bob died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Robert Lowry was described as a wonderful father, son, brother, and friend. After his remains were found, his family spoke to the media, simply saying, "Our family wants to thank the news media and others involved in the search for our privacy at this difficult time." Next, we have Jared Hembry. Another man from Texas who was found in the Grand Teton National Park was 26-year-old Jared Hembry. Jared was from Cibolo, which is about 25 miles northwest of San Antonio. He was reported as missing on October 21, 2021, and his body was later located and recovered 3 days later on the 24th in the eastern part of the park. A search involving more than 80 personnel began after park law enforcement received a call expressing concerns for Jared's welfare based on the caller's interaction with Hembry just outside of the park. His vehicle was found at the Game Warden Point parking area in the eastern part of Grand Teton. Several agencies participated in the search, including the Civil Air Patrol and the Wyoming Highway Patrol. The Park Service and the Teton County Sheriff's Office are investigating the cause of death. The park and all those involved in the search extend their condolences to Jared Hembry's family and friends. The park said in a statement. Next, we have Renee Dreiling. Renee Dreiling was a 21-year-old Grand Teton Lodge Company employee who was working his second summer when he was reported as missing on September 2, 2016. He failed to show up for a scheduled shift at the Coulter Bay Village, which was very out of character for him. The investigation initially revealed that Renee had likely departed for a trip from the Jenny Lake Lodge at about 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday, August 31. Renee is said to have been planning to hike or climb the Teton Range, though his exact plans are unclear. He may have attempted to ascend Table Mountain from Cascade Canyon. Various alternate objectives including Hanging Canyon, the Jaw, Mount St. John, or some other locations in the range. He is known to be spontaneous in the mountains and change plans frequently. Investigations conducted by rangers led to the updated point last seen along the northwest shore of Jenny Lake. A witness described him as moving very fast and wearing no shirt with an orange and gray backpack. He was hiking alone and was in good spirits. He may have been wearing a headband. On the morning of September 3, Grand Teton National Park conducted an aerial and ground search right away. Approximately 55 searchers joined the Teton contract helicopter in the search for Mr. Dryling in the Cascade Canyon, Hanging Canyon, and Table Mountain areas that same morning. Search teams received a tip from a hiker who saw Renee around noon on Wednesday on the trail along the northwest shore of Jenny Lake. Unfortunately, park rangers discovered Renee's body on September 4 at approximately 7 p.m. during an aerial search. Renee's cause of death was most likely from falling on the north side of Mount Owen. Grand Teton National Park Superintendent David Vela said, "We extend our thoughts and prayers to Renee's family and to the Grand Teton Lodge Company, and lastly, we have Matthew Bryan." Teton Interagency Dispatch Center received an emergency call at approximately 12 noon on Monday, February 22, about a skier involved in an avalanche in the Broken Thumb Couloir and the peak known as 25 Short in Grand Teton National Park. Rangers, Teton County Search and Rescue members, and Bridger Teton National Forest personnel jointly responded to the incidents. A party of 3 local residents departed from the Taggart Lake trailhead earlier that morning, intending to ski the Broken Thumb Couloir. The party was skiing one at a time in the upper part of the couloir. Matthew Bryan, a 33-year-old Jackson, Wyoming resident, was leading the group, entering the narrow area of the couloir above the rappels when an avalanche occurred. The avalanche was up to 2 feet deep and fractured 50 to 100 feet above Matthew, sweeping him over the rappel and downslope for approximately 1,000 feet. The Teton County Search and Rescue helicopter, along with park rangers, immediately responded with aerial reconnaissance to determine if a short-haul rescue would be an option. This particular type of rescue was determined not to be feasible due to very high gusts of wind. The helicopter landed on Taggart Lake, and rescue personnel skied to the scene. Matthew Bryan was immediately determined to be deceased. His body was flown to a front country location and transferred to the Teton County coroner. The other members of Matthew's party were able to ski themselves out, and none of them suffered any injuries. Matthew was said to be a devoted friend who left a lasting impression on everyone who came in contact with him. His family moved to West Chester, Pennsylvania, in 1993. He graduated from Henderson High School in 2006 and Penn State University in 2010. Just days before his 21st birthday, Matthew said goodbye to his family, packed a Subaru with what he could, and set out upon his dream of living out west. He headed first to Steamboat Springs, Colorado. While living in Steamboat, he became a whitewater rafting guide and an accomplished snowboarder and mountain biker. He also discovered a great love for the desert. In 2018, he moved to Jackson, where he continued to follow his passions. He especially loved Moab and would be in the mountains whether it was summer or winter. His many other passions included hiking, camping, disc golfing, listening to good music, following Formula One racing, and fantasy football. Matthew Bryan was said to have an indescribable love for snowboarding. While he met many friends and touched so many lives while spending time in the mountains, they ended up being the very thing that took him from those he touched so deeply. The family would like to thank everyone for their incredible love and support that they've received during this difficult time and wishes to extend sincere thanks to the Grand Teton National Park Rangers, Teton County Search and Rescue, and Bridger Teton National Forest personnel. Thank you for watching Missing Chronicles. We have explored captivating stories and searched for answers behind the vanished. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay updated with our latest videos. Share these videos to spread the message and assist affected families and loved ones. If you have any information related to the cases we've discussed, please leave them in the comments section. Together, we can make a difference. See you in the next Missing Chronicles.